Welcome to 409 Solutions Data Dump Podcast, where we explore the evolving world of data analytics and the stories behind the numbers. I'm Sarah Krom, Managing Partner of SKC & Co. CPAs and shareholder of 409 Solutions. Today, we're diving into the fascinating intersection of accounting and data analytics, a powerful combination that's reshaping how businesses operate and make decisions. Joining us today is Ryan Warnet, president of 409 Solutions and someone who's navigated both worlds, a former CPA turned data analytics pro who saw the potential to unlock deeper insights for clients by blending these two fields. We'll hear how his background in accounting has shaped his unique approaches to analytics, the real-life challenges he faced in this transition, and the game-changing moments he experienced helping clients reach their financial goals with data. So if you're ready to learn how numbers can tell a whole new story with data analytics, let's jump in. Welcome, Ryan.
Thank you, Sarah. Be here.
So I have to start by clarifying that although you no longer practice as a CPA on the SKC side of the house, you are still an actively licensed CPA, right?
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah, I worked way too hard for that to let those letters next to my name go away. So I'm keeping them. I'm not letting those go away.
Awesome. Good. I just wanted the audience to know that it's a profession I'm proud of. So given your experience as a CPA, can you share how your perspective on data analytics is different from someone who may just have the data and the computer background and not something that's CPA related?
Yeah, I mean, being a CPA really gave me a huge foundation in terms of the financial side of a business. I like to look at accounting as kind of like the language of business. So being able to really get a good understanding and know that side of the business and being able to tie that into operations and the more detailed areas within a business helps out tremendously. It really bridges that gap of I have these financial goals that I want to hit. How do we run our business to then get to those financial goals? Some examples of that would be we do a lot of work for service-based industries, and really being able to explain how important your people are in service-based industries and how effective they are can directly relate to profitability within your company. So we do a lot of employee utilization analysis to really get a good understanding of what people are doing with their time, how efficient are certain processes, and we really dive into if we could be more efficient as an organization, if people could use their time more effectively, that can directly lead to bottom line profits on the financial side.
Sure. What unique insights or approaches do you bring to the table because of your foundation in accounting?
Yeah, I definitely look at everything in terms of that bridge that we just talked about. But it also helps with, year-end planning or budgeting for the future. Being able to bring that financial side of things, to be able to find those KPIs within your business that can have a direct result and a direct impact on those financial goals. I think that's definitely unique in the fact that, a lot of the people that, I know within the data space, they are extremely talented, extremely smart, but their knowledge is maybe more on the computer science side of things where they can, build these amazing creations, but they may not be able to fully comprehend the cause and effect on the financial side of some of the analysis that we run and that we help our clients with.
And it's interesting too, because data tells a story and you need to have the ability to tell the story that the data shares with you in order to really be successful and interpret it in a way that you can leverage it to make meaningful decisions. At least that's what I've found. And I know that watching how you and your team work with clients, you're very good at telling the stories that the numbers show. And you happen to be the only one on your team who has the CPA and the accounting background. So I know that Mike and Trevor are sort of getting up to speed with sort of a mini accounting lesson every time that they meet with clients. But the interesting part too is when we think of data, we always think of numbers and financial, but a lot of times what you do for your clients involves data that maybe isn't necessarily financially driven. I know you've done marketing dashboards and things like that, but it's that ability, as you say, to draw the conclusions and the cause and effect and the storytelling that I think really levels up what you guys have to offer at 409 through that foundation.
Yeah, exactly. And that's really what it comes down to, where if you're just looking at the data objectively without trying to figure out, okay, what caused this and what are the intricacies, what's the story behind these numbers, and then how do we get these numbers to then reflect our financial numbers that we want at the end of the year or the end of the quarter, to be able to hit our goals. What changes can we make to the story behind the numbers to get to the numbers that we want in terms of dollar amounts? It is actually funny that you mentioned the accounting lessons when Mike and Trevor are on client calls. But part of their training program within 409 was accounting lessons by me, to be able to give them at least a little bit of background of the fundamentals, kind of like an accounting 101 they went through in a couple sessions, to be able to just grasp the basic concepts and be able to tie in some of those bridges, so that they're equipped with at least some of the basics that I would maybe have as a CPA, and kind of be able to give that unique perspective as well.
And I know a lot of times when you're building the dashboards for clients, whether you're working with the SKC CPA that services that client, or they're an outside CPA different than SKC that a client may work with, or their internal CFO or controller, they speak accounting language, right? And I think that's even more important to have Mike and Trevor up to speed with some of that, so that it's not just, as you said, they're computer minds that are doing the communicating.
Yeah, my years as a CPA definitely helps with the accounting talk with other accounting
For sure.
members. Yeah.
So what were some of the biggest challenges you faced when you shifted from accounting to data analytics, and how did you work to overcome those?
Yeah, I would say the biggest challenge was actually kind of a surprise for me. And it really came down to the different mindsets that you have to be in to be able to, I guess, work effectively in the accounting tax world versus, doing data analysis, where in accounting and tax is very rules based in terms of, okay, this happens, this is what you have to do. Obviously there's, room for problem solving, but for the most part, if this happens, this is what you do, and you kind of have an outline for that. With the data analytics work is a lot more problem solving and finding those cause and effects that we talked about before. And that was something that I didn't realize was going to be such a challenge. Having to shift mindsets and shift gears into, I'm doing accounting work. I gotta think with that mindset. Okay, I'm doing the data analysis. I gotta think with that mindset. And what I did to overcome that is I made sure that I blocked out at least 4 hours at a time. If I'm working in accounting or working with data analytics, I made sure to separate those as much as possible with big time chunks, in terms of like, okay, I'll do an hour of this, an hour of this, an hour of this, and kind of switching back and forth. I found, at least in the very beginning when I tried doing that I was spending way more time doing things that shouldn't take me that long, because it was kind of that little bit of adjustment period of changing that mindset. So I usually would try to block full days, but at minimum half days, to be able to, okay, take a step back, change mindsets, look at things a little bit differently, and then dive into the work that needed to get done.
It's almost the difference between being a traditional compliance accountant and doing the actual work just to have the work be completed versus being, a trusted advisor and going above and beyond and really providing tangible value to the client beyond just a delivered financial statement or a tax return, really is kind of the mindset that you're talking about there, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's something, accountants can definitely take away from it is, okay, you may have an hour or two of work to be done, but after that, maybe take a step back, take a couple minutes of a break, and then look at it as in more of a critical way, and try to find ways that you could bring more value to your clients. Maybe just something that might help, going through what I did and kind of changing that mindset to be able to bring more.
And that's really the value that, as SKC, we've seen with utilizing the 409 dashboards that you've created, because it's not historical data, which is what financial statements are. It's a reporting on what's already happened and history. When we utilize the dashboards that your team prepares, it's real-time data in many, many cases. In other cases, it's projected data into the future to help make decisions and leverage the knowledge that we can gain from the data that has happened. So it's really a completely different time period shift even for what we can provide to the clients. And I know that the clients that use it have it on their phones, on their iPads, on all of their devices, and they can check it whenever they want. And that's really a game changer, as opposed to waiting 2 weeks to see what the close of the prior month looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share with the audience a time when maybe your skills as a CPA came in handy with solving a problem from the data side with a client?
Yeah, so this kind of an example I'm thinking of is different from the dashboarding side of things, but it is something that we do provide for our clients, and it was an integration that we did where a client of ours had a software that they were tracking all of their inventory, all of their sales went through through this software. It was kind of like a storefront for them, and it had an integration with their accounting software, but they were using the out of the box integration where their transactions are a little bit more complex, and not super straightforward. Okay, this person buys this, it can go right into sales, gets taken out of inventory right away. It's not super straightforward. So we came in, we did a custom integration for them for the different types of transactions that they do have, because the way they were doing it, the transactions that shouldn't be super straightforward on the accounting side, were getting pushed through, and their books were completely a mess. So being a CPA and knowing that side of it was, took a little bit of learning from the client of explaining, okay, these transactions, this is what happens. This is this is when we get payment. This is when it gets delivered, etc. And having that accounting background, I was able to kind of go into their books, figure out what specific transactions were causing our issues, and then being able to work with Trevor on our end in terms of the development side of the integration to make sure that, okay, when this happens, we need to do this. And then if this happens, it'll trigger something else. And really being able to have that background and being able to come up with that solution of what the integration needs to do, rather than just the simple out of the box integration that we got. Really, if I didn't have that CPA background, it would have been very much a challenge to what was actually correct. But having that CPA background is very straightforward for me of, yeah, okay, this is an issue, very clear issue, and this is how we have to solve it.
So you were pivotal in building out the service line within SKC for data analytics that eventually spun off into its own company, FourZeroNine Solutions. And now you're pivotal in building that organization for the last few years. How has your early experience in the CPA world shaped the way that you built your services for your clients?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely take a lot of the same, I want to say, practices or values of the accounting world and the service side of how we do things. Obviously, as being part of SKC, I was able to experience how SKC, I guess, treats their clients and services their clients. And one of the big things that we wanted to carry over to our services as well as part of the SKC, is it part of the values, or is it on the mission statement of making our clients say, wow?
That's a mission statement item.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, so that was one thing that we carried over, and something that stuck with me, and something that we wanted to bring over to FourZeroNine, is really going above and beyond for our clients, and going that extra mile, to help our clients succeed, because in the long run that helps us succeed. And really, I mean, selfishly, that's just, makes you feel better, makes me feel better, makes us as team members of FourZeroNine, we're happier when our clients do better and when they're happy. Kind of similar to the happy wife, happy life type of thing, whereas for us, it's happy clients, happy life for us. I don't really know a good catchphrase for that, but
We'll have to come up with one.
yeah, right. But yeah, that's kind of how, or kind of some of the things that we took from, I guess, my experience as being a CPA, but more directly from, being a CPA at SKC, that we were able to bring over to FourZeroNine.
It's all about relationships. And I work in a vertical that includes a lot of professional service companies, which I know is a lot of what FourZeroNine services as well, although you have many other clients in different industries. But regardless of the business, it's all about people, and it's all about relationships, whether those people are on your team or whether those people are your clients or your vendors, or however you're interacting. People want to be heard, seen, valued, and acknowledged, and have relationships with people that they trust. And in my opinion, you can't have superior client service unless you treat every individual customer or client as a person. And that's really, I think, what I know SKC is all about. And I know what you guys share that same value as well.
Yeah, especially my early, months even at SKC, that was something that I got a lot of exposure with, just being part of those client meetings and getting to know my clients from the start. Definitely helped in terms of even just doing the work. You were more excited to do something that maybe you didn't want to do or you didn't enjoy the most, but you were excited to even do the dirty work for them because you have that relationship with them, the impact that'll have on their lives. So having that exposure and having that experience of, oh yeah, this makes my job way more fun. Even if what I'm doing isn't fun, I still want to do it because I know it'll impact them, and I know them, and I want them to be happy, and I want them to be successful. So I will do this for you because I want to help.
Yeah, and you really have to look beyond the other side of the conference room table or the other side of the Zoom screen and get to know them as people, besides just being your clients, because that's really where you get that solid relationship, and you become tethered to their successes and failures as business owners, and that bond is really hard to shake.
Definitely, yeah.
So in closing, I want to ask you, I've recently had a conversation with a client who sort of wanted a mini lesson, if you will, on accounting and how to read financial statements, and a foundational course, if you will. And I know that you said that part of Trevor and Mike's training was to sit through some lessons with you. I had pointed this particular client to some basic financial statement reading videos through Udemy. I didn't know if you had any thoughts for the audience on where business owners could go to sort of get that foundational exposure to the foundations of accounting.
When you mentioned Udemy, I've used Udemy many times. I would probably recommend Udemy as well. It's a great resource for, you know, lessons and, being able to get foundations of specific topics. There's a lot of different choices. You could get super in depth with something, or you could learn more high level. They're usually very cheap courses that you could take, and it'll be 10 hours worth, or it could be 120 hours worth. I've done relatively large courses through there as well, but it's nice because you could do it on your own time. It's all online. And that's probably that's something that I would recommend as well, to get at least a foundation. um yeah, I would go with Udemy. It's exactly what I would recommend, to be honest.
Yeah, and they run, you did say they're fairly inexpensive, and they are, but they also run a lot of specials.
Yeah.
So very
um
often there's buy
Percentage.
one, get one, or half price ones, especially around the holidays. They tend to run a lot of those specials. So it's a good one to check out for sure, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Thank you, Ryan, so much for being here today, and sort of giving a little journey of your CPA to data expert, and how that really makes you a much, much better president of 409 Solutions, because you have that background as well.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me, Sarah.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of Data Dump. We hope that you found inspiration in today's conversation on blending accounting and data analytics to drive success. Remember, the world of data is full of possibilities. Sometimes it just takes a new perspective, like the ones we explored today. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and share it with someone who would love this insight as well. And join us next time as we continue to explore the power of data to transform industries and drive innovation. Until then, keep crunching those numbers and pushing the boundaries of what data can do. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a great day.